It is 38 degrees. We've got some fog out in the area and probably see some precipitation, maybe in the form of some heavy thunderstorm activity, some heavy rain later on this afternoon, continuing on through tonight and into tomorrow as well. We've got Debbie Hobson in with us this morning. Debbie is with the Salem Memorial District Hospital. Debbie, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
I guess you've got a lot of things to talk about today.
We are. We're going to talk about heart health.
Oh, okay. Let me make sure I've got you turned up here. Let's try that again.
We're going to be talking about heart health
There we
and
go.
things we can do to keep our heart healthy. It is February, you know. It is the heart month.
It is Heart Month. We've got Valentine's Day, and that's always a good reminder of to get things checked out.
Exactly. So some of the things I'd like to talk about is heart attack symptoms.
Okay.
One of the first things you might notice is some chest discomfort. Most heart attacks involve discomfort in the center of the chest and last more than a few minutes. Some of those people that have heart conditions already have a little medicine called nitro, which goes underneath the tongue, and
Right.
a lot of times that might take away the chest pain, but just know that that could be a warning sign to get things checked out because there may be something bigger in the works. If it doesn't relieve that pressure, then most definitely need to go to an ER, see a doctor, get it checked out.
And I know, well, it's been almost 6 years ago, I found out that I had to have a heart stent placed.
Yes.
And of course, I've got the nitro with me most of the time. I don't carry it like I should because now I don't have that problem. But they also said that if you feel those symptoms coming on, to keep some chewable aspirin with you
Yes.
and take 4 or 5 of those.
You take, if you have baby aspirin, you take 4 baby aspirins
Right.
or one regular strength aspirin, which is 325 milligrams, and you want to chew that up. And
And I guess that will.
it helps to thin the blood. You know,
Right.
if you have a clot or something in there, it kind of helps get that thinned out a little bit.
Okay.
You might experience some shortness of breath. Other signs might include breaking out into a cold sweat. You might get really nauseated, lightheaded, discomfort in upper areas of the body, like your arm, your neck. The pain might radiate into the back.
And so, a lot of times people have these and they think, I worked out yesterday and that's why my shoulder, I'm getting pain in my arms or something. But it's something you need to check out, especially if
It
you've got
is.
a history with it.
Exactly, a family history, or you have a history yourself, or you take certain types of medications, like if you have high blood pressure and you're taking blood pressure medications. If you're diabetic, that increases the risk of heart disease. And let's see, if you're at rest when that pain starts, if you're out working in the yard or you're working out and some of that pain starts developing, I'm not saying ignore it, but it could be because of what you're doing.
Right.
But if you're at rest and if that wakes you up out of a sleep, don't ignore those symptoms. You should always get them checked out.
Right. Get them checked out and let somebody take a look at you.
Exactly. And something that people may not know is symptoms vary between men and women. As with men, women's most common heart attack symptoms is chest pain or discomfort, but women somewhat are more likely than men to experience other common symptoms like jaw pain.
Right.
You might think it's a toothache, and I've seen that before, and it not be. Shortness of breath, nausea, and vomiting. You'll see
Right.
that oftentimes in women as well.
And I know you could probably agree with this that a lot of times heart attacks don't even have any symptoms.
That's true. They
You-
don't.
And that can be detected with blood work.
Yes. Like your enzymes could be elevated, like a troponin or CPK. It's just those things that are heart indicated. It refers to the muscle of the heart.
Right.
And so if there's some damage or something's going on, you're going to see elevations in those.
Right. Right. So we do have those variations between men and women that might have a show that you might be experiencing a heart attack or have had one, a slight one in the past.
That's true. Again, you may not have any symptoms, but your lab work might be a little bit elevated. You might come to the ER just not feeling well, or just go to your doctor and find out once the lab tests are done that there's a little more going on
Right.
than just a cold or achiness,
Right.
So
Right.
it's pretty important. There's things that we can do to prevent, if you've had a heart attack, things that we could do to prevent another heart attack from happening. There's 5 things that you can do. One is make sure you're taking your medications as prescribed, because some of those medications are strictly for your heart. They may be beta blockers, or they may be a medicine that decreases your heart rate. If you're someone that has a fast heart rate often, there's a med that they give you that helps decrease that heart rate so that the heart's not working so hard. Attend and follow up with your appointments like scheduled. It's really important that your doctor follows your condition so they can kind of recognize things as they're happening. Participate in a cardiac rehab, and that's a little bit of exercising, walking on the treadmill, getting your heart, building up that heart rate a little bit and bringing it back down and improving circulation.
And those medications won't do you very good if you just leave them in the cabinet and take them hit and miss.
No, they will not. That's probably not good for you at all.
and sometimes I'm bad about that.
Yeah. And even getting some support. I mean, once you've had a heart attack or you've had those symptoms, that's pretty scary.
It is, yeah.
But being able to talk to somebody who's been through that too would help relieve some stress, and it just puts your mind more at ease, and it helps you to know what to look for down the road and what to do. So, and then just managing your risk factors. After a heart attack, it's important to manage those, such as high blood pressure. So you're taking your meds. And unfortunately, genetics, family history, sometimes we can do all these things, and because of those genetics, we still have the high cholesterol. But you just keep taking your meds, you exercise, you decrease stressors if you can do that. If you work in a high stressful job, look for an outlet outside of work that helps relieve that. Golfing. People like to golf.
Right, I do when I get a chance.
There you go.
And it is important when you go in to see your doctor. A lot of times the questionnaires that you fill out beforehand ask about your family history.
Correct.
And it's a good idea to be honest about that and get everything out, because the doctors or the nurses that look at you, if you've went into the ER, they need that information to get the whole picture of what could be going on.
Correct, they do. So some of the things that we can do is just making lifestyle changes, how we eat. Like I said, decreasing stressors. If you're diabetic, make sure you're managing that, because puts you at an increased risk of heart disease or even stroke.
And kidney disease.
And kidney disease, exactly. Stop smoking if you smoke. I know that's very difficult for most people to do when you've smoked for years and years. Think about what it's doing to your lungs. They're nice and black now after years of smoking.
And I'm going to guess that the hospital has ways to help you.
They do.
Stop smoking.
They do. There's cessation programs out there to help you, that they'll recommend for you to help stop smoking. I know there's things they can prescribe to help with that as well, patches, things like that.
We could also make some lifestyle changes.
We can. Increase our activity. If you're someone who sits behind a desk most of the day, I'm one of those people that's behind a desk, and what I have found after about sitting for 20 minutes, I even set the alarm on my watch or clock. So if I've been there an hour and a half, it's time to get up and get moving. And just those things, just even at your lunch break, maybe go and take a walk around the hospital or wherever you're working at, not the hospital, but you know what I'm saying. Increase your activity, manage your diet a little bit better. Again, taking your medications as prescribed, and
a lot of people have smartphones now. And they've got apps that will set a timer.
True.
That will remind you to either get up and walk, sip some water.
Correct.
To make sure you're getting your water intake in. So technology's helped us out a lot there.
It has, and like there's several people wearing the Fitbits to monitor their steps. Ah, you have one, huh?
I got one.
So, low fat dairy products, lots of vegetables and fruits, trying to take the fat out of your diet as much as possible, decreasing carbs, and there's just lots of things out there. Maybe even like with the dietary aspect is maybe following up with a dietitian. They are very
Right.
helpful
Right.
in helping you choose a diet or plan that's right for you.
And I know you can probably set up a visit with the dietitian out at the hospital.
Absolutely.
They can look at your situation, whether, I know we're focused on heart health today, but whether you're diabetic
Correct.
or any other health issues that you have that you might need to have a special diet for that particular condition, they can help you out with that.
Absolutely. Jason Edwards would be the guy that you see out there.
Right,
He is very good and more than willing to help out.
right, right. Let's talk about high cholesterol.
High cholesterol, the norm for a cholesterol would be 136 to 200. You want to stay below the 200 mark. When you get up higher, that increases risk for stroke and, again, heart disease. There's things that you can do, again, is like weight control, managing your diet, exercising, or just getting up and moving. If you're a soda drinker, you might take away that soda, stop drinking that. If you're a sweet eater, decrease the amount of sweets that you're eating. There's all kinds of things that we can do to decrease that cholesterol. That's a big, big thing.
It all goes hand in hand.
It does. It all goes hand in hand, correct. We have what's called a low density lipoprotein, and that's a bad cholesterol that we have, and we want to keep that also within 50 to 100 or below that 100 mark, because again, that's just the guidelines from the American Heart Association, especially for patients who are taking statins, blood pressure medicines, those kinds of things.
Now, there are also things we can do to increase our good cholesterol.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And the good cholesterol, which is called your HDL, and the norm for it is 40 to 100, and we want it to be higher and the LDL to be lower. It puts you at, again, if it's too high, puts you at risk for heart disease. People with high blood triglycerides usually also have lower HDL cholesterol. Genetic factors, type 2 diabetes, smoking, being overweight, and can all result in a lower HDL. And you want, by managing all those things, you increase your HDL, which
Right.
is what we want to do.
Right, right. What about triglycerides? Let's talk about that for just a little bit.
Well, it's the most common type of fat in the body, and normal triglycerides levels vary by age and sex, and high triglycerides level combined with a low HDL cholesterol or a high LDL is associated with atherosclerosis or buildup of fatty deposits in your arteries. And again, when that happens and a piece breaks off and goes to the heart or the lung, it's not a good thing.
No,
So,
that is not a good thing.
So you want to, again, it's just doing what we need to do to manage those things and improving our lifestyles.
Well, one thing that a lot of causes a lot of this that just is as a risk factor is high blood pressure, and I know you probably got some information on several ways that we can take steps to lower our blood pressure.
Correct. One of the things, maybe decreasing if you are someone who eats a lot of pork. It's really bad for increasing the blood pressure. You might decrease the amount of pork that you eat. Again, exercising, walking. Actually, it's just a matter of walking. It's not like necessarily going to the gym and lifting all those weights and being one of
Right.
those athletic buffs, but just walking and increasing your activity and decreasing things that are fatty that you're eating, and
Any type of movement helps.
any type of movement helps.
When you
Correct.
were talking about the Fitbits, my little watch goes off every once in a while and says, time to get moving.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. And salt.
And salt, decreasing salt, correct. Some of us are like a lot of salt in our stuff, and Things just don't taste good without salt, but that definitely, salt causes you to retain fluid. And if you're not drinking lots of water, because that's how we get rid of all those things in our body too, is it filters out those bad things is by drinking water, because that's how our kidneys work. That's how
Right.
the liver is. So,
I had people in my family, more the old timers, that before they even ate, the first thing they would do was douse everything in salt before they even tasted it. And of course, a lot of foods already have salt in them.
correct.
And when you're adding to that,
Yeah,
that
and you're
that's not a
getting
good thing.
no, it's not a good thing. And a lot of foods today, all the preservatives and stuff that are put in them to keep them fresh for us and things like that, they're just really not good for us. I mean, when you look back years and years ago, we didn't have all that stuff,
Right.
and you didn't see real problems with obesity and
Right.
other things. And they
Right.
ate far worse things than we did, I think, more fatty,
Right.
but they seemed a little healthier and lived longer.
And they were also constantly on the move.
They
you
were on the
know,
move, constantly working from daylight to dark, and
Right.
and you don't see that as much
Right.
in our time. But so we've got to be really conscientious, and we got to think about those things.
And I mean, lifestyles have just changed.
They
Not
have.
everybody is on the farm like they used to
That's
be.
true.
And I know my grandma, Stan and I were talking about this. My grandma, when she got up, she always had a big pan of biscuits,
Mm-hmm.
had a big pan of sausage going, and eggs,
Uh-huh.
and she cooked almost everything in lard. And
Yep.
she lived to be almost 100. She
Oh my
missed it by
gosh.
a few days. But as soon as the sun was up, they were out in the field and they were working.
Correct.
Or they were working with cattle, and they had some hogs, and they were working with hogs. And then they were cutting wood because they heated with wood.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that till it was dark, and they started milking again. And everything that they took in, they worked off.
Yeah.
And we just don't do that nowadays.
We don't. I mean, we've got all these nice conveniences, and they're great. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
not as healthy for us.
Right.
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 But so just keeping your blood pressure down and getting more physically active every day, and just aim for a healthy weight. All these things improve in changing lifestyle, making lifestyle changes. All these improve our health and decrease the risk of heart disease or stroke.
Right.
So we just got to be more conscientious of things than we used to be.
And just little things that we
Just
can
little
add in.
things, correct?
Yeah.
Just little things, even.
Little things add up to big things in the end.
That's true.
And I guess one of the last things that you have on your list that you brought in is aiming for a healthy weight.
Correct.
How can we find out what a healthy weight is?
One way is just by when you go to your physician, they have an average weight for your height and age, where you kind of a target weight where you should be. But when you're trying to get there, you want to set realistic goals. It can be pretty discouraging if you want to say, if you're somebody who's really overweight and wants to lose 100 pounds and you're only losing 10 or 15 pounds in the 3 months time. That's kind of discouraging for those folks who are really working at it. But you want to lose the weight kind of slow, so you don't put it back on, and make those changes slowly. It may take a year or two, but
Or
as
longer.
or longer. But as long as you're making those changes, it's probably going to stay off. You're going to feel better as you go along. It's just lots of encouragement and willpower, and just like having a support system. Really important.
Well, they do have those height and weight charts.
They do.
And
They do.
I found out, according to that, I'm about 10 inches too short. I'm not overweight, I'm just too short.
There you go. I'm way short, so I'm not sure what my problem is. But anyways, and then just understand how much and why you eat. I mean, maybe there's a reason that you're eating too much. Some people, when they're stressed or something's upsetting them, or they're going through something in life, personal or work related, they have a tendency to eat.
Well, it's easy to eat when you're stressed. It's easy to eat when you're happy.
It's a
easy
comfort
to eat when
food.
you're celebrating.
Correct. I mean, and that's one thing us Americans do really well.
We
Get together and we eat
like
well.
to eat. We do
That's-
like to eat.
Yeah. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if we can just kind of control it a little
Right,
bit.
right. But there's better choices to make
Better
when
choices.
you're celebrating victory or whatever
True.
you're celebrating.
That's true. And then just managing those portion sizes, maybe for an example, you might take have you seen dinnerware, the plates? We went from a kind of a smaller size to this
Right.
honking big size.
They are big plates nowadays.
Yeah. So maybe we think about that. Maybe we look at the plate and only put things in your plate that cover the bottom of the plate, not
Right.
that may sound kind of silly, but I mean, it works for some people.
Right.
So just thinking about the sizes and decreasing that.
And last time that I was unfortunate enough to have a hospital stay, they gave me a plate that there was a bigger portion for your proteins.
Mm-hmm.
There was a smaller portion for grains or vegetables.
Right.
And then a very small portion for the carbs, like rice or, whatever that you wanted to have.
Right.
And that's helpful too.
Yeah, it is.
Because we do have a tendency to overload our plate.
We do. We're all guilty of that. And then just making smart choices. Maybe instead of reaching for that candy bar, maybe fruit or...
a handful of nuts.
There you go.
Almonds.
Almonds, heart healthy,
Yeah, right.
and good for you. And it fills you up. You don't have maybe that craving a little bit later in the day, wanting something else. And if the more sweets or the more soda that you drink, seems to increase those sweet cravings.
Right.
So,
And, I noticed I'm really carb sensitive.
uh-huh.
And I didn't notice it till just the last few months. If I have too many carbs, not only does it make me crave more carbs, but carbs will make me tired.
Correct.
And I notice if I stay more toward the proteins or the healthy carbs, like fruit or vegetables, that doesn't
You don't
happen
feel as
to me.
bad. Right. So that when you eat a lot of carbs, your body stores that as sugar.
Right.
As glucose, and when you eat that kind of stuff, it increases your sugar, but then it kind of drops really fast. You get those lows, and when it fluctuates like that, that's kind of where you get tired, where you just feel like you don't have any energy, and it doesn't keep your body in a homeostasis, so
Right.
to speak.
And
So-
I know, a lot of folks nowadays, kind of a breakfast staple years ago used to be oatmeal.
Correct.
And a lot of people have got away from that. But oatmeal, to me, it will take my blood sugar up slowly, and it'll let it come down slowly.
Correct.
Where if you have a biscuit like I had this morning, it'll spike it up, but then it drops it just as quick.
Right.
And, from what I know about diabetes, that you want that to come up slowly and come down slowly. You don't want those big spikes.
You don't want those spikes.
Because that's
No,
where
that's
you end
true.
up getting eye damage, kidney damage,
Correct.
everything else.
And it's good to help lower your cholesterol.
Right,
So,
right.
Oatmeal's good for you.
It is good for you. And I usually put a handful of blueberries in it.
There you go.
Or some walnuts.
Or some walnuts.
Yeah.
So, do you like the English walnuts or the black walnuts?
It just doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter as long as it's in there.
When I was a kid growing up, black walnuts was the thing.
Yeah, right.
It went into a lot of things. And today, people have kind of got away from that flavor. And
Well, black walnuts to me have just a little bitter taste to them. But I do like them in chocolate chip cookies once in a while.
oh yeah. And so, the other thing after smart choices would just be physically active. Just anything you can do to get your heart rate up a little bit, like walking, or aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate activity a week. When you think about it, 150 minutes really isn't too bad when you're looking at it over a week's time.
That's not too much per day.
Uh,
And little things you can do too. Instead of parking in the no parking zone at Walmart,
Right.
there where the stripes are at, park back in the
Park
back.
in the back.
And walk a little.
Yeah.
Walk a little
Yeah.
bit.
and it keeps your car from getting dinged too.
Right. Exactly.
There's benefits to that.
There you go.
So,
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about while you're here?
I don't think so. I think if they have any questions, they're more than welcome to contact me, and my number is 573-729-6626.
Okay. Is there extension they need?
Extension 7117.
Okay.
I'm usually there Monday through Friday. Every once in a while I'm gone because of meetings, but we all are. but there's always someone there that'd be very helpful if
Okay.
they needed something.
Well, I guess we'll call that the last word then.
All right.
Time to give you the last chance to do that. But Debbie, thanks for dropping in with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And always, with this being February, Heart Month, Valentine's Month, we always tend to think about that. And so now would be a good time to get everything checked out. Make sure that you're still ticking like you should be. Right now it is 38 degrees. We've got a news summary from the Associated Press that's coming up. Keep it right here. KSMO.
KSMO, Salem.
AP Radio News. I'm Rita Foley. President Trump appealed